TomoNews presents... Oh, stomach aches!
An Australian man has developed a grotesque hernia-like growth following several failed operations after he ingested a suspected stomach bug. When 59-year-old John McDonald dropped his beer into the water during a fishing trip on the Brisbane River, he didn't think twice about snatching it out and taking a swig. Perhaps he should have. 3 hours later, he became violently ill. A week later, friends convinced him to go to hospital, where he underwent several unsuccessful operations to fight a growing infection. Shortly afterward, he slipped into a coma and was expected to die. But he came through with one horrific complication: a giant and grossly infected stomach. Parasites abound in fresh water, and McDonald believes one caused his illness. He has been told that he'll need at least another 6 operations before he is well again.
Trichophagia is a tricky thing to have. Doctors in India have removed a melon-sized hairball weighing nearly 4.5 pounds from the stomach of a teenage girl. The 16-year-old girl had secretly been eating her own hair for years, but her dad and mom didn't realize anything was up until her weight dropped to just 30 pounds. With a stomach full of hair, the girl found it difficult to eat food and she kept vomiting. But it was only when doctors did an X-ray that the problem was revealed. A giant hairball the size of a melon, filling more than 4/5 of her stomach. The girl was diagnosed with trichophagia, a compulsive disorder in which people eat their own hair. Surgeons have successfully removed the hairball from the girl's stomach, and she's said to be doing much better now.
Gross photo shows why dogs should not eat chocolate. What we are about to show is really, really gross. So if you don't want to see what happens when a dog eats too much chocolate, click away now. This is Sophia, a boxer who made an animal hospital in Virginia look like a scene from The Exorcist after eating too much chocolate. Sophia's problem started last holiday season when she and an unnamed canine partner in crime helped themselves to more than 1 kilo of chocolate left under the Christmas tree by owner Daisy Roja. Chocolate contains a stimulant called theobromine that is toxic to dogs. It can affect the heart, kidneys, and central nervous system. Dogs who eat too much chocolate can die. At best, they'll suffer symptoms including diarrhea, seizures, and vomiting. The darker the chocolate, the more theobromine it contains. Doses of around 100 milligrams per kilogram of body weight are toxic to dogs. Sophia and the other dog were rushed to an animal hospital for treatment, suffering from vomiting and high heart rates. After chucking up another chocolate fountain, the dogs were fed activated charcoal to stop the toxins from being absorbed and given intravenous fluids. The animal hospital released the pooch puke photo on social media to warn owners not to feed their dogs chocolate this festive season. Sophia and her friend survived death by chocolate and made a full recovery from the incident.
26 students fell violently ill during a Qantas flight from Chile to Australia and spent much of the 14-hour flight expunging the contents of their stomach and suffering from the case of old Bombay bottom. The group, who are believed to have been travelling together, apparently contracted the norovirus prior to departure. Symptoms of the infection, though, only became evident midway through the flight. The 26 passengers bearing their guts to the world were moved to the rear of the plane, where they had to fight for access to the 4 available bathrooms. Those that made it in time no doubt had difficulties choosing which way to face, what with the liquid squirting from all orifices. Oh, what fun!
Shit everywhere.
Here's hoping the cleaning crew were luckier than this guy.
There's shit on the windows!
A tale of 2 tumors. U.S. women have huge growths removed. A Georgia woman underwent a complicated 8-hour surgery on Tuesday to remove a tumor the size of a giant beach ball. For months, 59-year-old Doris Lewis tried to seek treatment for the growing mass in her belly, but because she lacked health insurance, she was repeatedly turned away. But if you think that's bad, wait until you hear about Marcy DeCaro. Initially, DeCaro thought she just couldn't lose the belly flab. It wasn't until 2012 that she learned a 47-pound tumor was behind her huge stomach. Also uninsured, DeCaro tried for 3 years to secure health insurance to cover the necessary surgery, but she was denied over and over again. This past April, DeCaro qualified for insurance thanks to Obamacare and was finally able to undergo surgery at the University of Arizona. But her condition had worsened. DeCaro's tumor, a massive liposarcoma, had invaded her inferior vena cava, the body's largest vein. Doctors dissected the tumor, but it had grown so much it nearly destroyed the vein entirely. She lost both a kidney and her gallbladder during the 10-hour ordeal. In the case of Doris Lewis, after being turned away from 4 area hospitals, she caught a reprieve. Doctors at Emory University Hospital in Midtown Atlanta offered to perform the surgery, despite her being uninsured. But as Lewis's tumor grew, it displaced her internal organs, pushing them up and to the left. The growth was filled with so much fluid, doctors said it ruptured during the procedure, releasing between 12 to 13 liters of fluid.
If excessive eating and plain greediness makes your blood boil, then you probably won't feel sorry for the woman in the story. Last Sunday, a 43-year-old Chinese woman surnamed Jane ate far too much during a hot pot dinner with friends. Although she felt totally full, Jane rather stupidly decided to go on a drinking session. After her insane food and drink orgy, she then went to karaoke and partied with her friends. When she got home, she began experiencing seriously chest pain and could barely breathe. The next day, she ended up in hospital, where it was determined that her stomach has entered her thoracic cavity and she needed emergency life-saving surgery. Jane's left lung was so badly squeezed by her bloated stomach, causing her lung to collapse. A third of her stomach was cut out during the surgery. Jane, now recovering from her ordeal, said she regretted her behavior and vowed never to overeat again.
This origami robot could save your kid's life. An international team of researchers have teamed up to make a tiny folding robot that can remove button batteries from the stomach. The gadget is designed to be swallowed in a capsule and unfolds like origami inside the human body. It was created by researchers at MIT, the University of Sheffield in England, and the Tokyo Institute of Technology. The robot is made of dried pig intestines and is designed to remove batteries from the stomach. It is powered by a magnet and folds up so it is easily ingested inside a capsule. Some 3,500 watch batteries are swallowed in the US each year, posing the risk of burning to the stomach and esophagus. Once inside the stomach, the capsule dissolves and the robot unfolds. The robot propels itself in a stick-slip motion and is steered by external magnetic fields. The robot's magnet attaches itself to the battery and removes it from the stomach. Most batteries swallowed by humans are digested normally, but prolonged contact can see hydroxide burn through tissue. This poses a particular risk to children, as the hydroxide can burn a hole through the esophagus, which can lead to death. And that, the researchers say, is what makes this little folding robot such a useful invention. Birth defect that causes intestines to protrude from the baby's abdomen on the rise in the U.S. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, incidents of a birth defect called gastroscopies, which is a defect in the abdominal wall, are on the rise in the United States, especially among African Americans, and health officials are struggling to understand the cause. From 1994 to 2012, the CDC has documented a 263% increase in gastroscopies among babies born to Black mothers under the age of 20. When a baby is affected by gastroscopies, the intestines and sometimes also organs such as the liver and stomach protrude from the abdomen through a hole next to the belly button. In the U.S., about 2,000 babies are born with a birth defect every year. Although the condition can be life-threatening, it can often be remedied by surgery in the weeks after the baby is born. Even after surgery, however, some infants can have problems eating and digesting food, increasing the risk of problems such as stunted growth and malnutrition. This is because the organs have been irritated by exposure to amniotic fluid in the uterus. Although researchers do not know what causes gastroscopies, they suspect that a mother's diet, consumption of tobacco, alcohol, and medicines, exposure to toxins, and sexually transmitted diseases during pregnancy are all factors that could have an effect on the development of an abdominal wall defect.
36 years? Surgeons have removed 2 ballpoint pens from the stomach of a man in China 36 years after he swallowed them. The man from China's Jiangsu province, and identified only by his surname Wang, swallowed the pens when he was 14 years old while drinking with friends. Wang wanted to stop, but his friend said, "Sure, you can stop as soon as you swallow both of the pens." Ah, friendship. Anyway, the pens never caused any discomfort, and Wong assumed he'd pooped them out sometime over the decades. In fact, one of the pens had actually pierced part of Wong's small intestine, which eventually resulted in inflammation. Likely somewhat surprised doctors discovered the pens on a CT scan when he went into a local hospital for a checkup. Wong has since been discharged from the hospital. His doctors warn that if you swallow something like a pen, get a doctor to take it out as soon as possible. One pill solves it all. Researchers at the University of California, San Diego have developed micromotors loaded with antibiotics that can treat stomach infections without the use of proton pump inhibitors. Proton pump inhibitors are a substance used to suppress gastric acid production. Each micromotor has a magnesium core coated with a layer of titanium dioxide, antibiotics, and a layer of chitosan, which is a polymer that enables the motors to stick to the stomach wall. The size of each micromotor is about half the width of a human hair. Once inside the stomach, the magnesium core reacts with gastric acid, which generates a stream of hydrogen microbubbles. The microbubbles propel the vehicles inside the stomach, while also temporarily increasing the pH to a desired level to release the antibiotics. The micromotors can be dissolved by gastric acid without leaving any harmful residue. Drugs used to treat bacterial infections and other diseases in the stomach are normally taken with proton pump inhibitors. However, the substance can cause adverse side effects such as diarrhea and fatigue, or even depression when taken over longer periods or in high doses.